Hi, sweet friends. I'm Emma Watterson, hostess of Root Tips to Wingtips Health Podcast, where you'll learn recipes and health tips to stay balanced and have a healthy mind, body, and soul. I'm a certified health coach and specialize in NLP, hypnotherapy, energy work, and healing. Each week, we will dive into health topics to discuss ideal mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being. Let's jump in.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Root Tips to Wingtips Health Coaching webinar. And this week, I have the pleasure of speaking with Miss Megan Holt. She is a certified master life coach who specializes in family wellness. She has a group called Wholesome Nourishment, and that focuses on holistic nourishment, taking care of physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental needs for the whole family. So welcome, Megan. It's so great to have you on today.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here, Emma. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so intrigued by your program, and I'm so excited for our listeners to hear about you today.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started?
Yeah, so my quote unquote origin story is insane, to be honest. So, but what really got me started in and on my wellness journey personally was I was an addict, I'm a recovering addict, recovering from all forms of addiction, including people pleasing and everything else. But what really got me started was the fact that the universe kind of gave me a big slap in the face and was like, hey, I need you to listen to me or you're not going to be here much longer. So it's kind of one of those type of stories. And I did. I stood up. I took notice. I may have not listened as much as I should have in the beginning, but have been able to clear and release a lot of that went along with that. And a few months later, I actually found out that I was pregnant with my first child. And so I always had this vision of being that parent that was available, present, and applicable. And applicable in today's world, it's for me is to really find what nourishes your body and mind and spirit the most, what's individually nourishing to you, and then what's holistically nourishing for you in the environment that you're in. And so that's really where I started. I had no idea what I was doing or where I was going to go with it, but I knew that nutrition was a part of it. I knew that emotional intelligence and regulation was a huge part. And then lastly, I knew that self-talk was what needed to change with me first. And so that's really where I began. I began seeking out resources and coaches and friends and groups that had what I wanted. They had either the lifestyle I wanted, or they appeared to have the mental state that I wanted. And in doing so, over the last almost 4 years, I have completely reversed all aspects and signs of depression, anxiety, gotten a real world sense of nourishment. And to me, that means really living from your intuition and living from the earth as much as possible. So that's the life that my kids will grow up knowing is just their normal, that, your body has the power to heal itself. And your thoughts and the words that you speak out loud and inside your mind are a huge part of that healing process. So I overcame body dysmorphia. I overcame, a lot of self-hatred and a lot of the emotional things that go with that. And so I started on this path and got my first coaching certification in holistic nutrition. And so that's a first and foremost for me. and then I went on to seek out what the scientist in me had always found interesting and fascinating. And that was how the body talks to the mind and how the mind talks to the body. And so I went ahead and got my certifications in as a master certified life coach for NLP, timeline therapy, hypnotherapy, and energy work. And that's how we met, through Genius Unlocked. So that was a really amazing time when somebody was actually speaking my language, that I had called in and manifested all of the people and things that I needed just by standing up and being my own advocate for my health, and then for my unborn child's health at that time. And it's since snowballed and spiraled into this wonderful, like unimaginable life, in my opinion. I didn't even know that was my wildest dream until I now have a new wildest dream. And we just welcomed our second child a couple weeks ago. So yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Wow, what a beautiful journey, and congratulations on your second baby. I know that's a huge joy. So I'm so happy for you guys.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing your beautiful journey of overcoming. I mean, I know I know that can be a lot of story for a lot of another time, but it's great to see. And I know that will give so many people so much hope, that they know that there's a beautiful life on the other side.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's one of my biggest things that I try to instill in my group, in any community that I develop, as well as really reaching people that just kind of stumble across things. Because I know for me, there was a few times where I just stumbled across exactly what I needed at that exact time. And so when I put together this group called Wholesome Nourishment, it really was birthed out of what nourished me all the days that I couldn't build the other side, or I didn't see that light. Even when the sun was shining bright above my head, I'm still like, okay, stuck in this dark hole. But then it just so happened that I would be scrolling on Facebook, or I'd get a phone call, or I'd walk past a restaurant with a quip sign that, was written of the quote of the day. And it was exactly what I needed when I needed it. So it's a big thing. It's like, we never know exactly how the universe is going to use us until that person that needs us finds us.
That's awesome. And I know that you were also talking about that you've got a 10-week course that's coming up about communication. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So this is my brainchild. It's literally like having another child when you develop these course like this. But it's all about communication and the how and why we communicate the way that we do, not just with ourselves primarily, as well as with the world around us. So for me, this course is really geared towards moms, because as moms, we tend to put everyone else first, and then, we pick up what's left at the end of the day. And sometimes when the cup is empty, the cup is really, really empty. And we get into these places of kind of like the story I was telling you, is sitting in the middle of my kitchen floor after my toddler had just melted down to, soup over blueberries and yogurt. One cannot touch the other, by the way, just for anyone who wants to know. And I found myself asking myself, what am I doing wrong? And for me, with all of the knowledge and all of the tools and all of these things that I had, I found myself going, well, wait, I should know better, or that this is what should actually happen. And so then the guilt and the shame and all of this stuff just compiled. And what I actually found was I didn't know how to communicate with myself in order to project it outward so it would be mirrored back to me, even to my 3-year-old. Like these sound like really big concepts. However, our children are our greatest teachers and our biggest mirrors. So I was like, well, let's couple these two things together and really teach moms how to communicate through all stages of transition, from toddlerdom to teenagers and everything in between. And so that's where this course was born from. It actually launches on Monday, this coming Monday, December 5th. But it will run for 10 weeks. And this first trial will be a wonderful way for people to really get to know me, and as well as get to know themselves and how they communicate and how they can up level everything that happens in their life and in their home just by swapping small words or using different techniques. So this will encompass meditative techniques. It will encompass applicable tips and tricks that you will use every single day, and that can diffuse literally any situation, whether it's with an 80-year-old grandmother or a stepmother or a mother-in-law or your toddler. And in doing this, you're really going to learn a lot about yourself and get to release a lot that you've been carrying that resides in the unconscious mind that really motivates us to be who we are and see what we see. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be an amazing ride. And like I said, this first cohort that's launching has the advantage of my welcome baby discount, and it's over 65% off for this first run. So if that's an amazing thing, and we'll meet every Tuesday and Thursday. So you'll get to learn something on Tuesday, and then you'll have a workbook and you'll get to implement it, and you'll get to come back on Thursday and ask me all the questions, tell me all the things, show me how many times your toddler melted down over blueberries and yogurt. And then we'll get to tweak it and coach around it and really get down to those root causes. So and that's what's really neat, is this entire course is based off of a concept that's perception is projection. And so as we unravel all of the things that are in us as moms and as humans and as women, then we'll literally get to see our families grow and change before our very eyes over this 10 weeks.
Wow, that sounds absolutely incredible. I'm super excited for you. And it's communication, I think, is the biggest, it can be the biggest challenge and also the biggest blessing in any kind of relationship, whether you're married or dating or child, parent, or friends, employee, boss. I mean, it just, everything revolves around communication. And
exactly. And that's what I love most about this course is yes, it is. I am all about helping mamas do what they do and be their best selves at it and know that they're their best selves. And then too, also these skills and these concepts can be taken and applied across the board to anyone, anywhere. And so my hope is for anyone that's joining me in this 10 weeks is by the end of the 10 weeks, you'll be confident and competent enough that it will just come naturally and continue to build as you move through your life.
Oh, that's so awesome. And I know that will help so many moms. I definitely wish I had that. I mean, my son's 12 now, and going on 20. But I definitely understand. Like, it's so great because, I mean, even in those different relationship dynamics, especially parent-child, and even different personalities, it's teaching them from a young age to work with all different people and be able to express how they're feeling, because there's some big feelings. And as a toddler, it's hard to figure out, like, you may not know the words to express how you feel. And I know when we were talking earlier, I thought that was a beautiful example. You were talking about, like, let's go look in the mirror and see what your face looks like now, and being able to have them see what they look like from the outside, because you can't, I know they talk about you can't read the label from inside the jar. And that I think that applies here is, like, when you're inside your body, you may not necessarily know what the outside world is seeing. And body language is like 90% of our communication.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And with small children, I mean, so if you think about from the time that you enter this world earth side, you communicate solely through body language. It's 100% of your communication. And then, you figure out, okay, well, I can cry. So you get a little bit of audio, but there's still no verbal language, that we consider verbal language today. And so when that's how we come into the world, and then we learn all of these amazing, beautiful, miraculous things, and we grow, and our neurology grows and our brain grows, we're still at a primal level. We even, all the way to adulthood and beyond, we still communicate at that singular body language level. And so that's where our children revert to when in their times of stress. Hence why they come to us to either talk it out, scream it out, or get some sense of safety and comfort, because they need that co-regulation, because all they have is their body. That's all they have. It's like, get down on their level and give them a hug. Now you can teach them literally anything that they want, but they first come running to us in their time of stress. And so when they're met with our stress, that because they are mirroring to us the entire time. And so when we look at them and all we see is something that we want to fix in us, and we're met with that amount of stress. And so what that teaches them is to shut parts of their self down. It teaches them to shut parts of their self down so they don't get the reaction they don't want anymore. Because communication is the sole responsibility of the communicator. We know that on a cellular level as communicatory beings. And so when we get the response that we don't want, and we're small, or we're still developing, and we don't have the rationale or the language to describe it to ourselves, like, oh, wait, I need to stop and recommunicate that, because that's not how I meant for that to happen. All our children know and see is, oh, when I scream and run at her, she yells at me. Mom yells at me. I don't want her to yell at me anymore. So I'm just going to be quiet and subdued. So what part have you shut down? You've shut down healthy emotional output. You've shut down the ability now to learn about what that actually was and what to do. You shut down your curiosity, and you've also rocked the foundation of safety. It's like, oh, wait, okay, do I have the right emotion now to go to mom and she's not going to yell at me? And so all of those things combined, it can be a lot to think about when you have all of these now words of what's really happening. However, it's happened in some regard to every single one of us. It's not that we need to completely try to eradicate it. It's that now the waves of change and the knowledge is growing to where we can start to forge new paths. And in doing that's just like with my, I think at that point she was 2, but now 3-year-old, I get down on her level and I immediately give her a hug. And now when she screams and pulls away, I'll still give that really strong, safe hug, and I'll let her go. And you know, and then I'll give her something like, okay, well, when you're ready, we'll talk about it. And she'll come. Like, I've been doing this with her since she could verbally talk, and she will come to me and she's like, okay, I'm ready to talk about it now. You know, I mean, if you can imagine this tiny little 3-year-old that's going on 30, is coming to you and it's like ready for a sit down. It's like, okay, I'm ready to talk about it now. And all they want to talk about is Paw Patrol, because that was the very last thing that they saw. And so that's what's on their mind. They could care less that they just had a meltdown and you're in the bathroom sobbing because you think you've messed your child up, right? They could care less. Like, that's not their world. That's not their view. But when they want to sit down and talk about Paw Patrol, and again, you're just like, can you please tell me what made you mad? And they're like, mad? What's mad? What is that? Like, you know, when was I mad? We're talking about Paw Patrol. You know, because their form of communication is connection, whereas our form as adults is explanation. And so that's really a lot of what we're going to dive into in this course. And every time I talk about it, I get so excited. I feel like a little kid on Christmas morning, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I get to actually like show you how your brain works. It's so cool. And you know, and really navigate those trench worthy times where you think you might need that World War II helmet and you know, and some sandbags to get through it. Because it can be like, you know, and like, I don't know about y'all, but if you have or have ever been around a toddler that can scream in anger or upset, it's scary. Like, you know, it's like, oh my God, you might be possessed. And but they really are just letting out their big emotions. And on the just last thing, on the flip side of that, when we have big emotions as parents or as adults, it's okay to have the emotion and then sit down and explain to your child, like, I am sorry. What you saw was mom having a big emotional reaction, and I looked and sounded and felt very angry. And it wasn't about anything that you did. Do you want to go play out? You know, it's always like it's always okay to let your children see how you regulate your emotion, because it gives them a sense of safety and a sense of support as they grow, that it's okay to have emotion and how to, you know, and then how to show that empathy and really move through that instead of just storing it and suppressing it the way that most of us did for a lot of our lives. Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, that's so awesome. And I'm so glad you said that too, because I feel it's, as a society, or we feel the societal pressure to suppress our emotions. And like, you have to be the perfect parent, you have to be the perfect mom or the perfect dad, and you have to be able to, and you're supposed to set this perfect example for your kids. And when you show your kids that, hey, I'm human too, you know, we have emotions, and there can be big ones though. Like, and I love what you talked about too, is they communicate through connection, whereas we communicate through explanation. And I'm so glad that definitely hit home for me. And I was like, oh, and I think a lot of times now, is especially over the last couple of years, is because of the pandemic, when we shut down, I think a lot of communication was lost, and that connection was lost. So I think this is more important than ever for us to be able to actually learn how to more effectively communicate with our children and with other people in general. And I think teaching our kids from a very young age that yes, you can have emotions, and you being able to express that, and that sets them up for so much better success in life too.
It really does. And I'm glad that you said it. So like, we, you know, as a whole, as a society, on a global level, we lost what, you know, 90% of the little bit of connection that we had over the past 2 years, especially since the pandemic. So like we have really relied on that rational part of our brain so much more than we realize. And it's taken its toll, like we've become, again, like I remember my grandparents telling me when I was a kid, and I think it was, God, I'm gonna age myself real quick. I think it was satellite television that came out, right? And then they got the whole like cable package or whatever. I remember them saying out loud, it's like this is just going to numb them out even more. Like this is just going to take away that. And, and then we all had the gaming systems, and then we all we have since the invention of television, in my opinion, but that's just my opinion, we have slowly but surely became true islands. Each human is its own little island, and we're not really connected as a mainland anymore. But what we have to remember is that an ocean runs and surrounds every single island. And so that's really the way that you can look at how your children perceive the world around them, because their world is literally their family unit and their backyard, or their balcony, whatever it is that cohesively holds those people together to them. So that's their whole world. And we have to remember that they are navigating an entire ocean to get to us. And so I really love how this is going to make bridges and build or bring their continents back together in a way, just because they can put pieces together and know where they're safe, know how to explain things that, to other people, as well as they will, well, I just lost my thought. Forgive me. I have mom brain, but that's okay. But they'll really, their emotional intelligence will grow the more you allow them to express. And so in order to allow your children to express, you have to be able to express. And that's why it's called mom comms. It's I picture this like old school bag phone on somebody's back, right? Crawling through the trenches in like a military movie or something. And it's mom. Like that's what mom does. It's like we will get to you no matter what. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's super awesome. Well, can you tell our listeners how to get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So the easiest way to get in touch with me is through Instagram. My Instagram handle is meg.holistic.coach. And in that, you'll the link in my bio will take you to multiple links in ways to get a hold of me through all the way from booking a call to my website to signing up for this course, the Mom Comms course, and much more. And then I know I sent you a couple of links that I'm sure will be in the show notes. That's my website and my Instagram as well. So that is the best way to get a hold of me. And I look forward to all of your viewers hitting the follow button. So if you follow me, I will follow you back.
Awesome. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Megan. It was such a pleasure to chat with you today. And I know I learned so much, and I love connecting back with you. And I look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Yes, absolutely. It's been wonderful being here. Thank you so much for having me, Emma.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for being on our episode of Root Tips to Wingtips Health Coaching podcast. And we look forward to talking to everyone again soon.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode and sharing this space and time with me. I hope you got some great new insights. And if you did, please leave a review add a comment, question, and/or suggestion, and share with a friend.